Look after my daughter and we'll agree, my FIL said. A month later, I seized their home. Swift repercussions arose. I watched my family tear my wife down, call her names, and treat her like she was less than human, all because of where she came from. What they didn't know was that I secretly owned every single house they lived in. And by the time dessert was served, their world was about to burn to the ground. You see, for the past decade, I, Jax, a 36-year-old, had been quietly building a real estate empire in the Midwest. It wasn't glamorous. I started at 26 with one beat-up foreclosure. Spent 6 months of my life, every evening, every weekend, gutting it myself. YouTube tutorials were my Bible. I made a ton of mistakes. Almost started a fire wiring an outlet backward. Built a leaky toilet for 3 days straight, but each one taught me something. That first house, it ended up looking better than half the neighborhood, and it rented for $900 a month. That felt like a fortune. While my coworkers were buying new trucks and going on fancy vacations, I was living in a $400 studio, driving a 15-year-old car and eating rice and chicken almost daily. People thought I was crazy, but I had a plan. When the 2012 housing crash hit, I had saved $45,000. Suddenly, that bought a lot more. I snapped up 3 more foreclosures in 20 months. By 32, I had 10 properties. By 34, 15. Now, at 36, I own 18 homes, generating around $24,000 in monthly rent. After everything, mortgages, insurance, repairs, that's about $9,000 a month in passive income. Add that to my day job managing logistics. And yeah, I'm doing more than fine. It's not rich, but it's comfortable. It's freedom. Then 6 years ago, I met Ella. She's from the Philippines. It was at a community center volunteer event, painting walls. She was up on a ladder, cutting in edges with the steadiest hand I'd ever seen, cracking jokes, doing precision work that would have taken me forever. We talked during lunch and I was hooked. Funny, smart, direct, no drama. She had goals, a work ethic that put mine to shame, and she'd tell you exactly what she thought, but in a way that made you feel safe, not attacked. That's a rare skill. Ella is an ICU nurse at County General. She works night shifts, dealing with life or death situations, coding patients at 3 a.m., handling screaming families. She has more patience and grace under pressure than anyone I've ever met. We got married 3 years ago. Small park wedding, about 50 people. Her family flew in from Manila. Parents, siblings, aunt, cousins. They were instantly warm, welcoming, treating me like I was their own. Her dad at the reception just looked me in the eye and said, "You take care of my daughter and we'll get along fine." Simple, direct. No drama. My family, though, that was a different story. My aunt asked Ella in front of everyone how long she'd been in our country and if she was here legally. Ella, with that incredible grace of hers, just smiled and explained she'd been a citizen for years. I was just trying to figure out how much force it would take to remove my aunt without causing a scene. And my mom, before the ceremony, she asked me if I was certain about this. Not in a worried mother way, but in a "are you sure you want to marry one of them" kind of way. The insinuation was clear, and Ella, of course, picked up on it. My brother, Nathan, is 3 years older. Middle management, always convinced he's the smartest guy in the room, despite all evidence to the contrary. His wife, Rachel, is cut from the same cloth. A stay-at-home mom who constantly posts about it being the hardest job, even though her mom watches the kids 3 days a week. She's condescending to anyone in the service industry, which is ironic considering she was a waitress when Nathan met her. They have 3 kids. Lily, 16, Max, 14, and Raina, 9. Lily, bless her heart, was the one who kicked off this whole mess. My parents are what you'd call Midwest conventional, which means they're subtly, quietly racist but would never admit it. They'd never say anything overtly offensive, but they'd marvel at Ella's English, as if it was astonishing she could string a sentence together. My dad once told me I was brave for marrying someone from a different culture, like I'd adopted a stray dog instead of married a fully capable adult. Family gatherings were always tense. Awkward small talk, me biting my tongue, then coming home to vent to Ella, who'd just shrug and say she'd dealt with worse in the hospital. Here's where things got complicated. I secretly own the homes of many of my family members. My parents' house. I bought it for them 5 years ago, cash, when they were about to lose it to foreclosure because of Dad's heart surgery bills. I paid $140,000, put the deed in my name, and let them live there rent-free. They still think they own it. I never corrected them. It was easier than dealing with their pride. Nathan and Rachel's house. I bought it in 2019. It was a great 4-bedroom in a good school district. They were renting and their landlord was selling, so I bought it and let them stay, paying the same rate. $1,500 a month. That house should rent for $2,400. Family discount. They have no idea I'm their landlord. Their checks go to a property management company. They just think they're lucky to have a reasonable landlord who never raises the rent. My uncle David, Dad's brother, and his wife Laura, they rent a duplex from me. They know I'm the landlord, but I charge them $900 a month for a place that should be $1,600. David's been on disability for years. I just wanted to help. My cousin Luke, Nathan's son, but more like a younger brother to me, he rents a small house near campus from me. He's trying to finish his engineering degree. I charge him $700 for a place that could get $1,100. He knows I own it, and he's always paid on time. So, yeah, I was basically subsidizing half my family's housing. I never brought it up. It felt awkward, and I didn't want the tension. It felt good to help family who were struggling. And then came last month. My mom called, wanting a big family supper for Nathan's birthday. I almost said no, these things are usually a nightmare. But Ella, ever the peacemaker, insisted. Family is important, she said. Maybe this time will be different. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. We arrived around 6 p.m. We brought a beautiful bottle of non-alcoholic grape juice and a homemade cake. Ella had spent 3 hours decorating it. Chocolate cake, buttercream icing, perfect piped roses, "Happy birthday, Nathan," in flawless script. She went above and beyond to try and win over people who had already decided they didn't like her. I'd watched her, painstakingly measuring, fixing frosting, repiping a flower 3 times because it wasn't perfect. When I asked why she put in so much effort for people who barely acknowledged her, she just shrugged. Maybe this time, she'd said, they'll finally see me as family. I didn't have the heart to tell her I'd given up that hope years ago. The first sign of trouble? Lily, my 16-year-old niece, was in the living room with 2 blonde friends, dressed expensively. They looked at us like we were door-to-door salesmen. I realized it wasn't just Nathan's birthday dinner. It was Lily's sweet 16 planning party. "Oh, you're here," Rachel said, almost surprised, despite Mom confirming our attendance twice. Nathan was still getting ready, but clearly the party had been in full swing for a while. Music, food, laughter. We were just the last people they wanted to actually show up. The house, by the way, looked fantastic. New expensive sectional, fresh gray paint, landscaping that must have cost thousands, professional flower beds, new shrubs, decorative rocks. All paid for with the money they saved on rent. Courtesy of me. I bought that house for $185,000, put $45,000 down, and rented it to them for $1,500, when similar places were going for $2,400 to $2,600. For years, never raised the rent. Basically, I was gifting them $800 to $1,100 a month to redecorate a house I owned. Who's counting? Ella offered to help in the kitchen. Rachel waved her off with a fake smile that never reached her eyes. "Oh no, we've got everything under control. Why don't you just wait in the living room?" Translation: we don't need help from you people. So, we sat on the new sectional while Lily and her friends giggled and whispered across from us. I caught snippets. Is that his wife? She looks so young. I heard. She's not even from here. My mom says she probably just wanted a green card. Ella heard it too. She just smiled, scrolling through her phone, pretending not to notice. She'd dealt with worse. Families in hospitals refusing her touch because of her appearance, patients demanding American nurses, doctors assuming she was an aide instead of an RN with a decade of experience. But I saw the tension in her shoulders, the way she was breathing a little too carefully, the tight smile. I squeezed her hand. She squeezed back, still not looking up. After 20 excruciating minutes of being invisible, Rachel finally announced dinner. As everyone moved towards the dining room, my blood ran cold. The table was beautiful, straight out of a magazine. Good china with gold trim, cloth napkins folded into intricate shapes, a fresh flower centerpiece. Name cards at each seat. Mom and Dad at the heads, Nathan and Rachel in the places of honor. Max, Raina, Uncle David, Aunt Laura, Luke, some of Rachel's relatives. 15 people, all at the elegant dining table. Ella and I had name cards too, at a small, wobbly plastic folding table. The kind you get at a hardware store for $10. It was tucked in the hallway, next to the coat closet and the bathroom. Close enough to hear the conversation, but far enough to make it crystal clear we weren't part of it. I just stared. Maybe the main table was full. But no, there were 2 empty chairs, one on each side. This folding table was a deliberate afterthought. What's this? I asked Rachel, my voice dangerously low. She just breezed past me, not meeting my eyes. Oh, we ran out of room at the big table. Don't worry. You'll still be able to hear everything. We didn't want you to feel left out. Left out while literally leaving us out. Ella touched my arm gently. It's fine, she whispered, in that voice she uses when things are absolutely not fine. But she's trying to keep the peace. Let's just sit. But I couldn't move. The visual was stunning in its cruelty. Everyone else with their good china, flowers, and cloth napkins. Us with a plastic table, paper plates, and plastic forks. Like we were at a kid's birthday party in a park. My mom was already seated, carefully avoiding my gaze. Dad was studying his water glass like it held the secrets of the universe. Uncle David and Aunt Laura exchanged uncomfortable glances, saying nothing. They knew something was wrong, but wouldn't dare make waves. Luke looked genuinely upset, but he was just a kid, powerless. That's when Lily delivered the final blow, loud enough for everyone to hear, looking directly at Ella. We don't really sit with you people anyway. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence, where everyone suddenly became fascinated with their napkins. I waited for someone to speak up, to tell a 16-year-old that you don't talk to people like that. Nathan cleared his throat. Lily, that's not. Rachel jumped in, that fake smile plastered on her face. Is that the main table for the core family? Do you understand? Ella squeezed my hand under the table hard. That was it. The dam broke. I pulled out my phone. The room was still silent, everyone staring. My first call was to Tina, my property manager. Tina, I need you to begin eviction proceedings for 3 properties. Yes, tonight. I'll send you the locations in a minute. The table went from dead quiet to utter shock. No, there's nothing wrong with the properties, I continued, loud enough for everyone to hear. I'm just done providing family discounts to people who don't deserve it. I saw Nathan's face drain of color as he finally grasped what I was saying. He'd gone completely pale. My second call was to Henry, my real estate attorney. I left a voicemail. Hey Henry, Jack's here. I need you to draft some paperwork for me. I'm transferring ownership of the property at 447 Maple Street back to the bank. Mom and Dad can discuss payment options with them. I'll explain tomorrow. My mother gasped. My father's face turned scarlet. The third call was to David, my accountant. David, I need you to restructure my portfolio. 3 properties are moving to market rate immediately, and I'm selling one. I know it's Sunday. Double your usual fee for weekend work. I ended the call and looked up. Everyone was frozen. It was like I'd pressed pause on their lives. So, here's what's about to happen, I said calmly, looking directly at Nathan. Your rent is going to market rate starting next month. That's $2,400 instead of the $1,500 you've been paying. Official notice tomorrow. Nathan's mouth was opening and closing like a fish. Rachel was chalk white. I turned to Uncle David. You too. $1,600 a month starting next month. If you can't afford it, you've got 60 days to find somewhere else. Aunt Laura started crying. Uncle David just stared at his plate. And Mom, Dad, I continued, turning to them. That house you think you own? You don't. I own it. I've been letting you live there free because I thought family helped family. But apparently I'm not core family. So, I'm transferring the deed back to the bank. You can negotiate your own mortgage with them. Good luck with that on Dad's retirement income. My mother was sobbing now. You can't do this, she wailed. Actually, I said, a dangerous calm in my voice. I can. I own the properties. I can do whatever I want with them. Nathan finally found his voice. This is insane. Over a seating arrangement. No, I said quietly, my gaze shifting to Lily, who was now crying, finally realizing her actions had consequences. It's been years of treating my wife as if she wasn't good enough for this family, with subtle comments, assumptions, and looks. Today was just the final straw. I turned back to Nathan. And you? You just cost your parents their home, your uncle his affordable rent, and yourselves about $900 a month. I hope that comment was worthwhile. Ella stood up beside me. We're leaving, she said, her voice steady. We walked out, leaving the cake on their counter, the grape juice on their table, leaving them all in stunned, horrified silence. In the car, Ella was quiet for a long time. Then she said, You didn't have to do that. Yes, I replied. I absolutely did. Your family will detest you now, she said. They already showed me disrespect, I told her. At least now they'll think twice before disrespecting you. She smiled a little. That was pretty dramatic. I'm a dramatic guy, I said. No, she chuckled. You're really not. That's what made it so effective. The next morning I followed through. Tina sent out certified notices. Henry started the paperwork to transfer my parents' house back to the bank. David restructured my portfolio. No drama, just business. The phone calls started around 10 a.m. Nathan was first. He wasn't just loud, he was screaming about how I was destroying his family, how petty and vindictive I was. I let him vent for about 30 seconds while I sipped my coffee and checked emails, then calmly interrupted. Nathan, the market rate for your house is actually $2,600 a month. I'm being generous at $2,400. You're still getting a family discount, just a smaller one. Take it or leave it. He sputtered about not affording it, about his 3 kids, his mortgage. I corrected him. He didn't have a mortgage, he had a landlord, me, and the landlord was adjusting rent. Where else are we supposed to go? He demanded. That's not my problem. You've got 30 days. Pay the new rate or move out. Your choice. He accepted it, of course. Where else would he find a 4-bedroom in that district for that price? He was trapped by his own financial mismanagement, and my generosity had been his crutch. My mother called next, sobbing, saying I was breaking her heart, how my grandmother would be so disappointed, how family was supposed to take care of family. I reminded her that she'd sat there, silent, while her granddaughter insulted my wife. You heard it, Mom. You all heard it. You just didn't care enough to say anything. I hung up mid-sob. My father called an hour later, using his authoritative, disappointed parent voice, the one that used to make me want to fix everything. He said I was childish, rash, that we could sit down like adults and work something out. I've already been fair, Dad. More than fair for 5 years. You've lived rent-free in a home I paid for. Nathan paid half rate. Uncle David paid even less. The only thing that's changed is you're all paying what everyone else pays. He argued that family was different, that you don't treat family like business transactions. I told him I'd had a lot of second thoughts, specifically about subsidizing people who didn't respect my marriage. He had 2 options, mortgage with the bank or find somewhere new. You're making a huge mistake, he said, his voice hard. The only mistake I made was thinking you'd ever see Ella as family. I hung up. Uncle David called around noon. He was surprisingly apologetic. Said he understood why I was angry, that he should have spoken up at dinner. He admitted that both he and Laura knew what was happening and didn't intervene. For what it's worth, we both like Ella. She's good people. Then maybe act like it next time, I said. We ended the call on decent terms, but the rent hike stood. David could afford it if he cut back on the boat, the RV, the motorcycle that collected dust. Luke called last. He was actually supportive, which was a relief. Said what happened at dinner was terrible, and he didn't blame me one bit. He'd been uncomfortable watching us get segregated, but felt powerless as just a cousin. I told him his rent wasn't changing. He'd always been respectful, paid on time, and never made Ella feel unwelcome. He'd earned it. He even offered to pay more, feeling bad everyone else was losing their discounts. You're not getting special treatment, Luke, I told him. You're getting rewarded for basic human decency. The fact that it appears unique says a lot about the rest of this family. He chuckled, said he'd keep his head down and finish school. I told him to come over for dinner sometime. Ella would love to cook for someone who genuinely appreciated her. The family group chat exploded. I muted it, didn't read a word. 2 weeks later, Rachel showed up at my office, clearly upset, makeup smudged. Can we talk? She began apologizing, saying Lily was just a teenager. They never meant for it to escalate. Do you know how this will affect our finances? We can't afford an extra $900 a month. I pointed out they'd just spent thousands redecorating a house they didn't own and planning a sweet 16 party. She cried harder. That was savings for Lily's party, she wailed. She'll only turn 16 once. And Ella will only be offended at a family dinner once, I countered. Or at least she should be. Rachel tried a new tack. What can we do to make this right? Lily will apologize, we all will. Please don't do this to us. It's already done, I told her. Notices have been sent. Contracts updated. Pay the new rate or relocate. Where are we supposed to find an extra $900 a month? She pleaded. I'm not sure, Rachel. Perhaps Nathan can ask for a raise. Perhaps you could find a job. Maybe cut back on the redecorating and extravagant birthday parties. That's not my concern. She walked out crying. Later, I received a letter from an attorney representing my parents, suing me for elder abuse, claiming I'd promised them the house. When I showed the deed with my name on it and bank records proving I'd paid cash, the case was dismissed. Their attorney actually apologized, saying he'd warned my parents they had no case. Nathan and Rachel started paying the new rent. Struggling, I heard through Luke. They canceled Lily's Sweet 16 and put their boat up for sale. Rachel got a part-time reception job. Uncle David and Aunt Laura paid the increased rent for 2 months, then moved to a cheaper duplex across town. My parents had to work out a new mortgage with the bank at current market rates. Their payments nearly doubled, and Dad had to unretire, taking a part-time job at a hardware store. The family stopped inviting us to events, which was exactly what I wanted. No more awkward dinners, no more subtle comments, no more pretending everything was fine. Luke still came over occasionally. He apologized endlessly for not speaking up. I told him not to worry. He was just a renter trying to finish school. It wasn't his job to police his aunt and uncle. About 3 months after the dinner, Lily texted me a long, heartfelt apology. She said she'd been young, stupid, and influenced by her parents' attitudes. She'd started volunteering at a community center with immigrant families and realized how ignorant she'd been. I appreciated the apology, but I didn't respond. Some lessons are best learned without immediate validation. 6 months later, Nathan called. Not yelling this time, but humble. He said he'd been wrong. I get it now, he admitted. We treated Ella like garbage, and you were right to be angry. I wasn't angry, I corrected him. I was done. Fair enough, he sighed. Is there any way we can correct this? You can start by showing my wife respect when you see her in public, I said. You can stop forming assumptions about people based on where they come from. You can teach your children better. We're trying, he said. Rachel's working with Lily on cultural sensitivity. Good. Is the rent ever going to go down? No, I said. He sighed. I figured, but I had to ask. We're not close anymore. We're excluded from family functions, and honestly, that's just fine with me. My parents and I share a polite, distant relationship. Christmas cards, I make sure they aren't literally homeless, but the warmth is gone. Ella handles it all with the same grace she shows everything else, saying she's dealt with worse racism from patients' families. At least my family's bigotry had consequences. The real victory was seeing my wife realize she didn't have to tolerate disrespect just to keep peace with people who didn't respect her in the first place. She'd been trying to win over my family for 3 years. In one dinner, she got permission to stop trying. We now spend holidays with her family, either flying to Manila or hosting them here. Ella even suggested we buy another duplex near the university and rent it to international students at reasonable rates. Her parents are warm, welcoming, treating me like their own son. My real estate portfolio is doing better than ever. Turns out, running a business based on market rates, not family favor, is more profitable. Rachel occasionally posts passive-aggressive things on social media about family loyalty and forgiveness. I still have the family chat muted, but Luke screenshots the good ones and sends them to me. We have a good laugh. Lily graduated high school last month. I sent her a card with a $50 bookstore gift card. She's going to community college to major in social work. Rachel complained about it in the group chat, apparently. Wished Lily would do something more respectable, like business or nursing. Some people never learn. The lesson I took from all of this: you can't buy respect with generosity. You can subsidize someone's housing, help them financially, go above and beyond to keep the peace, and they'll still treat you like garbage if they've decided you're not worth their respect. But you can absolutely charge market rates to people who don't appreciate the discount. And honestly, that's almost as fulfilling as true respect. Ella is still a night shift ICU nurse, still saving lives and dealing with difficult people with more grace than they deserve. And I'm still buying, fixing up, and building something that's truly mine, truly ours. The properties are doing well. The tenants who respect the arrangement are treated fairly. And the ones who learn the hard way, they're still learning. Ella and I are building a life surrounded by people who actually value us. Her family, our friends, the international students who are grateful for a landlord who treats them fairly. That's more valuable than any family dinner at the core family table. My father called last week. He asked if we'd consider coming to Nathan's birthday dinner next month. He said they'd really like to have us there, that it wouldn't be the same without us. I asked if Ella would be seated at the main table. Of course, he finally said. I'll think about it, I told him. I probably won't go. Some bridges are best left burning. But it was great to be asked properly.